Hello, and welcome to Bridgeford Trust Company's Delivering Direction and Control podcast series. Our podcast series is designed to educate, challenge, and inspire listeners while keeping you updated on developments regarding modern trust law and powerful planning opportunities available, all in an effort to deliver direction and control to clients and their advisors.
Well, hello, everybody. This is, again, David Warren with you for another podcast as part of our series. Of course, I'm chairman of our board and a co-founder of Bridgeford Trust Company, and just become more and more excited about what we're doing with the podcast over the last bunch of years. We have well over 50 now, and I've had the real distinct pleasure, as I say all the time as we begin, of interviewing some incredible personalities and thought leaders and innovators, not just across the country, but around the world. And today is very, very interesting for me because I have been wanting to get Steve on record and record his story for a long time. And since I met him face to face now, geez, over 3 years ago now, Steve, I think it has been. But Steve is president and CEO of the Newport Chamber of Commerce, and we're going to talk about what he's done there over the years, which is a pretty amazing, and I would say even Steve, maybe Herculean story of where you took it to where it is today. But Steve is he embodies aspects of leadership that are rare and commitment to community that I don't think I've seen much in my lifetime around the country I've been able to be in, or parts of the country I've been able to be in. In addition to being a great person and a very smart individual and very successful, he genuinely cares about community. And we're going to get into just how much he does care about his community and what he did for the chamber, because he took on a task he didn't need to. But before we get into all of that, so let's talk about Steve's background, which is very impressive. Educated in the Northeast at a little-known school called University of Pennsylvania at Wharton. Also went to law school in on the other side of the country, UCLA Law. Came to Newport Beach, Orange County in 1985 to take a position and practice real estate law for a very still impressive firm. And I always pronounce it incorrectly. It's Rutan, right? Rutan or Rutan?
Rutan.
Rutan Tucker, yeah, it's a great firm, and we've used them, and it's a great group. But he got the entrepreneurial bug, like so much of us do, and started his own brokerage business. Steve, you did real estate, and you also had a mortgage business too, as well, right?
Yeah, I started out as a real estate broker, and hit a little bit of hard times in the early '90s with real estate crunch. So I said, "Hey, mortgages." That's the ticket.
Let's do something else. Yeah. The proverbial pivot before they called it that, right? You did
exactly.
Well, no, I mean, I think that's a really interesting beginning of your story in Newport, because you started, and I found this quote that somebody had said about you. You started as a small business owner and became a business leader with your work at the chamber, and I love that quote. But along the way, you also became wildly committed to your community, having served 9 years, I believe it was, in the, I guess it's the council, the Newport Council. Did I get that right?
Correct.
Became the mayor, and it's funny for our audience, every time we sit down and meet for an espresso martini, he makes me call him Mr. Mayor still. I don't know. And I think it's also on his license plate, something about being the mayor of business or something.
Well, these days, I'm the business mayor.
The business mayor.
The mayor of business.
With good reason, and we're going to have you talk about that. But that's where the story, in my mind, becomes really interesting, because Steve not only gave so much of his time and energy to the community and building out and representing Newport for very little pay, but then he transitioned into taking over an organization that was really on the threshold of collapse. But before we get there, Steve, did I get your background somewhat correct? And then I got the license plate a little off. But all joking aside, welcome, first of all. Second of all, please add in where I may have missed, fill in the holes, because I really want to get to the story about the chamber.
Yeah, I mean, the background was pretty solid there. I mean, I always tell people I look really good on paper, but I've spent a few years in Philadelphia, going to Penn undergrad and law school at UCLA. Came to Orange County here in Newport Beach to study, or actually to practice real estate law. But, being an entrepreneur at heart, it's hard to work at a big law firm like that have
Yeah.
100 bosses. So I was only there a couple of years and decided to head out on my own in the real estate business. And, my career has ebbed and flowed with the real estate markets, but I learned a few good lessons early on that have done well for me as I matured in that business. I had a fairly significant side career in restaurant ownership as well.
Yeah. Which I know you said you have an interest in doing again, but your wife will not let you, I think is what you told me.
Yeah. I enjoyed the food business. I enjoyed cooking. Someone the other day asked me what my hobbies were. And I honestly, I couldn't come up with one. And then finally I realized what it was. I do enjoy baking. I like to
You
bake
like to
bread.
bake when I like to eat. So we need to
I'm
spend more time together.
I'm a bread baker. And
Wow.
so food's always been sort of a central thing for me. My parents were in the restaurant business too, when I was in high school. So it's kind of in my blood. And I enjoy the interaction with customers and things like that. But yeah, it's restaurant business is not for everybody. It's a grind.
Yeah.
And our last restaurant we had for 12 years, and my wife said it's either me or the restaurant. So
Well, you chose wisely. I've met your
I
wife
chose
before.
wisely.
She's
That's
a very nice person. And you let her drive your Corvette. So that's very nice.
She drives the Corvette. That's actually, honestly, it's in her name. At the time, I think I was applying for some mortgage on one property we owned. I didn't want to have another debt on my thing. I said, well, why don't you just put it in your name? Because the building's in my name. This way I don't have to report the debt.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it all
good
worked
idea.
out. Yeah.
So you get permission from her to drive her car from time to time.
Occasionally, yeah.
That's nice of you.
Well, usually it's because I'm driving her somewhere.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Well, I remember when we first met. Bridgeford had just come to town, and we were excited about our vision to expand on the West Coast. And we had a lunch party at the Pelican Hill.
Yeah, it was a hell of a party, actually.
We're still paying for it. For those of you who don't know Pelican Grill, it's not cheap. Just kidding. We did pay it off a couple weeks ago. But all joking aside, we had a great party. Steve came and welcomed us, did a little ceremony for us as new members of the chamber. And I immediately really clicked with Steve. And it was clear that there was something sort of special going on with the chamber and the community in Newport, which was so incredibly welcoming. And you in particular, Steve, you right away met me for lunch a couple weeks later and started giving me some really good advice. You still give me really good advice. And that really sparked our interest to become one of your sponsors. And we will remain a sponsor for a long time to support you and your vision because it's so inspiring. And I think that's a good transition because, I lived in the Northeast, practiced law, and had a professional career in the Northeast, and been lucky to be around the country in a professional capacity for Bridgeford. I've been around a lot of chambers, and I have not been involved with a chamber with as much energy and enthusiasm and really, I guess, entrepreneurial spirit that you have brought to the chamber. So not only am I happy to be one of your clients and supporters, but I'm proud to call you a friend because you've been a very good friend to me, a very good friend to Bridgeford, and probably more importantly, a tremendous friend and advocate to the business community in Newport, and you should be really proud of that. But I found another quote that I thought was really interesting. I think maybe when you took it over or down the road, you recently said a couple of years ago, I think you celebrated a 10-year anniversary. And one of the things you had said, I think, in an article, which is you think it's your job to sort of reinvent the chamber from time to time. So I think that's a good way to start. Talk to me about that and what you've done relative to keeping it interesting and kind of go through some of the demographics because it's one of the largest in the state and most active, as I understand.
Yeah, we're a large chamber. We've had a pretty big growth spurt since the end of the pandemic. Currently, we sit at about 950 members, which is certainly the largest chamber in Orange County, probably one of the largest in the state, except for maybe some of the large cities like LA or, San Diego. They have a bigger chamber. So we have a lot of members, and we are very entrepreneurial here. But, just like any good entrepreneur, you have to constantly be reassessing your business and what are the demands of your customers or your clients and try and meet those demands. And so, we do a lot of things here. We're the most active chamber you're going to find. And
list some of those, because if you don't mind me interrupting you, because there's a couple of events that I've never seen anywhere else, and you've made them extremely successful. And one of which is my favorite, your economic update. But go ahead, please go through some of the unique things you've done.
yeah, so well, some of the different ones that you might not see in a normal chamber. We're the host and organizer of the Newport Beach Christmas Boat Parade, which is a 5-night event in the harbor.
Yeah.
Was on national TV, really.
Yeah.
Um,
People
and
love
we
it.
get
People come
national-
from all over the country just to see
They
that.
do. I get
Yeah.
people calling me wanting to know when the dates are so they can make their hotel reservations. So we have a long history with that. The parade's 117 years, and we've been doing it as a chamber for I think next year might be our 100th anniversary. I have to
Wow.
look that up because we need to celebrate that.
Yeah.
We do a thing called the Corona del Mar Sandcastle Contest, which is in its 63rd year. We do a scholarship awards dinner and a separate athletic awards dinner for the 3 and soon to be, I think, 4th high school in town to celebrate academic and athletic excellence. And so
Yeah.
we partner. A lot of it, you can see a theme here. A lot of it's partnering with the community, being
Yep.
invested in the community, not even just from the business standpoint, although a lot of times there are business benefits that derive from those. But we do the economic forecast. Actually, I just had lunch last week with Chris Schwartz, who's been our presenter.
Big
And,
fan of Chris, trying to convince him to come on this podcast.
I know.
Keep twisting his arm for me, will you, my friend?
I will. I'll do that.
He's
And
fantastic.
so we were putting our heads together to try and get a really marquee, level second speaker for the event.
Oh.
So hopefully we'll have a good surprise for you this year. And then
Maybe the Fed chair will come.
Well, actually, I didn't ask for the Fed chair, although he may have some free time.
I was going to say he may soon have some free time. You can hire him at the.
But I
at the
did
chamber.
tell him to get one of the board chairs from like San Francisco. I said,
Yeah.
those guys don't have anything better to do.
No.
Our newest event, I'll just mention, and this is part of reinventing and trying to think outside the boxes. We brought back Restaurant Week to Newport Beach.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an 11-day event here. And we wound up signing up 52 restaurants to be part of it, where they offer a prefix menu at a really good price. Some of them are just discounting like 20%, across the board, whatever you want. But, so that's a good way to boost the restaurant business here, or businesses here in town at a time when things are traditionally slow. The holidays are big, people going out and spending a lot of money. Things tend to settle down until maybe around Valentine's Day. So a lot of them, are looking to put people in their seats in their restaurants. So this is a way to do that.
Tell me about the Wake Up program. I think that's what it's called. Wake Up Newport.
Wake Up Newport. Yeah.
That's I think very unique and something that you do frequently, which is kind of unusual for chambers, I think, to have smaller events like that. So I think it's a great idea. So talk about that.
Yeah, Wake Up Newport kind of grew out of something that the chamber had already been doing. And I should have mentioned it earlier, or maybe you should have. I just had my 13-year anniversary last week. So I've been here 13 years. Yeah, it was supposed to be 13 weeks, turned into 13 years.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah.
But we were doing a thing called Government Affairs Committee meeting. And it was kind of an insider ball meeting. We meet at the chamber offices. We'd have a prominent speaker come. But the problem was there was maybe 10 or 12 people attending the meeting. I'm thinking, like, what's the point? So where it really came to a head, I had the mayor of Newport Beach come and speak, and at our meeting. And I'm thinking, like, there's a dozen people here, half of them at least know exactly what he's going to say. So what are we really accomplishing? So I said, you know what? Let's change it up. Instead of having an insider ball meeting in the chamber, we'll use the meeting over. It actually was a room over at City Hall, and make the meeting open to the public. Everybody can come for free. My criteria for selecting a speaker for that meeting is either you're an elected person, so a city councilman or assembly member, the county board of supervisors, or you had a major organization. So you're the president or CEO of some major organization or entity. And so we've been very successful attracting very high quality speakers.
Yeah.
My last speaker was the superintendent of schools for County of Orange. Gave a great talk. He's got a great story. If you want a great story and interview somebody, he was a Vietnam refugee at the age of 2, and he's got a whole backstory. But we have our mayor coming up, our police chiefs coming up. We have forget who else. I mean,
Well,
it's always
if you need a chairman of a trust company now, I'm always available. So
okay.
Nobody wants to hear what I have to say.
I'll think about that.
Don't give it too much thought.
But it kind of goes with our theme of offering engaging events and bringing our membership out, because if our members don't engage with us, they don't stick with us, and that's
Right.
really been our operating principle. So we have Wake Up Newport. We do a networking luncheon once a month. We do a mixer once a month,
Yep.
and then we have other meetings,
which are all very well attended. I've gone to your mixers, and people don't seem to get tired of them. You find really great locations, and I'll comment for our listeners, because we're lucky to have people from all over the world listening to these podcasts and watching. Orange County, well, we all know the strength and power of the California economy and how it ranks worldwide. But Orange County in particular, which I didn't realize, Steve, until your first economic forecast that Chris did, just how big and powerful and successful the Orange County economy is and how much it drives business. So I think a chamber like Newport Chamber has become essential, because this business community needs support. They need, presentations. They need continuity. They need connectivity. And just given the sheer numbers it represents, right? I mean, I don't remember what it is, but it's one of the biggest economies in the state. Am I right?
Yeah, I believe we're number 3
in
the state, and like in the top 10 in the country.
It's amazing.
Pretty
Little Orange County. It's incredible.
Yeah, the clout that we have in the business world, and it's a very diverse economy here. It's aerospace, tech, medical, industry, all different kinds of businesses here. It's very diverse.
Oh, it's amazing, and it's amazing for Bridgeford to be part of it. One other focus that you've had over the years, and one that I'm particularly passionate about, and one that has led for us to collaborate on, is your focus on women leadership, women in business. And I know you have I don't know if it's a subsection. It's a group, right, that focuses on women's issues. What is that?
It's our Inspire Women in Business group.
Inspire Women in Business, right?
That came together probably about 8 or 9 years ago now.
Yeah.
Where several women in our chamber expressed an interest in having a group within the chamber to have luncheons. Basically is how it started, where they'd invite in women who pierced the glass ceiling, so to speak.
Yeah.
Leaders in their industries. I remember one of our very first was, and I forget her name, I'm embarrassed to say, but she was like a high level executive in the Rams, the Los Angeles Rams, who are going to be in the Super Bowl, by the way.
That's right. Congratulations.
I'm making a prediction here, but we'll see how well it ages. But so she was the type of person we wanted to see there. Charlene Reynolds, another one. She's actually the director of John Wayne Airport, which was voted the number 1 airport in the country not too long ago. So it's those type of people bringing their inspirational message to them. And so when you mentioned about the women's forum that you wanted to put together, that was certainly within our wheelhouse.
Yeah, very excited about that. I mean, very briefly for our audience, Bridgeford, by happy coincidence, is women-led. Most of my leadership team are women, and I've always believed in the power of women leadership, and that's where Bridgeford has evolved. And I came to Steve and said, hey, we have this idea. We want to celebrate women. We want to do something inspirational. And he, without hesitation, Steve allowed his support, the support of the chamber, which is invaluable to us in Bridgeford, and I appreciate it more than you know. In fact, not only you throwing your name behind it, but you're helping us get a venue booked and working on the logistics of filling our panel. So that's going to be March 19th. So those of you listening in the area, or if you're not in the area and want a reason to come to beautiful Orange County, California, keep that date in mind. We're doing it in total collaboration with the Newport Chamber and another couple of organizations that are also women-led and have focus on women agendas and women initiatives. But Steve, you really should be congratulated for that. politics notwithstanding, it's still amazing to me how women still aren't as celebrated as well as they should be around the country for being in leadership roles. So that's innovative, and not a lot of chambers have that. I could tell you firsthand, having traveled all over the country. So congratulations on that.
Yeah, thank you. We also have a young professional group here called Navigate Young Professionals. They have kind of run their have their committee, and they organize and come up with ideas for different events and networking opportunities. So, we're trying to cast a wide net because, we haven't really talked about it, but the chamber business is an old business. It's, other old businesses like buggy whips have gone out of business, so we're sort of in the, to a certain extent in the buggy whip business. And so you have to, getting to your point earlier, you have to learn to adapt to, the landscape. And so we've tried to be there. People are not really calling the chamber anymore or at least as much for like referral type things. They can find a lawyer, they can find a plumber just by going online and doing all that and see the reviews and all that. So we're more in the connectivity business from a networking standpoint, because I firmly believe that people want to do business with people they know and trust, and what better way to find people and trust is than through the opportunities that we offer here at the chamber.
No, it's perfectly said, and I've seen it execute so flawlessly, so well since I've been here, and which is a really great transition. I mean, I had started off talking about you with a lot of respect, and really, what you did with the chamber is very inspiring, and here's why. I'm going to kick you off to tell the story, but I think it's a true attestation, I guess, of your character as a professional and commitment to the community you live in, because when you were asked to take over the chamber, it was on the threshold of collapse, and I'll let you describe how and why. And what inspires me about your story that you're about to share is that you didn't need to do that. You had the success of your business, you had the success of your politics, you were already and still are resoundingly well-loved and well-liked and well-respected. So, at that point in your life and your career, you didn't need a headache to be dropped in your lap. And that's pretty much what happened. It sounds to me, is the way you described it to me over lunch. And I thought, man, either this guy's crazy or he's just a good human being, because I'm not sure I would have taken on what could have been a really embarrassing calamity for the chamber. So why don't you pick it up from there?
Yeah, well, so as you mentioned, or I mentioned earlier, I've been here 13 years now. And at the time that I joined the chamber, several things had happened in my life. We had sold our last restaurant, which we had for 12 years, my wife and I. My city council term, my 9 years on city council, was ending. So, but I still have my mortgage and real estate business. So, but basically 2/3 of my daily activity was gone between city council and this. I'm sure trying away city council and
the
the
restaurants
restaurant.
and all
Sorry,
that.
the restaurant.
Yeah.
And so, and especially with city council ending, I was kind of thinking, like, how am I going to stay engaged and active in the community? Because no one really wants to talk to the old city council member. They want to talk to the person who took my seat. And so, I wanted to stay relevant. I wanted to, still be involved in things happening here in town. And so, as luck would have it, I had lunch with the president of our visitor bureau, and he was telling me how much in dire straits the chamber was. And I really kind of took me aback because, I've been a council member here. I hadn't heard much about it. And it was kind of, kept quiet to a certain degree. But, apparently the chamber was on the verge of bankruptcy. And it turned out that, when I finally got here, I found out that they owed about $400,000 and really had about $16 or $18,000 cash in the bank, which as soon as I took the job, I had to pay a $16,000 bill. So we only had about $2,000 left to work with, and I had a payroll coming in 2 weeks. And, I was basically brought in with the understanding that almost certainly the chamber was going to file for bankruptcy to kind of reorganize. And it's unfortunate it got to that situation. I think the gentleman who ran the chamber before me, and he had been the president for 30 years, had done a very good job for probably, let's say, 28 of those years. But the last 2 years, I don't know that he knew how to manage the the chamber in a situation where revenues were declining, membership had fallen. There was some real estate issues with the lease or the property that they owned that he didn't know how to deal with. And so, it all kind of fell in my lap. So I had a bunch of creditors. We had a large event that I wound up having to cancel, the Taste at Newport, because we could no longer financially support that event with as well, or staff wise.
Mhm.
And so, I looked at it and I said, well, look, I didn't create this problem, so no one's going to blame me if we file for bankruptcy. And I told him, I said, look, I have my mortgage business, my real estate business. So as long as I can run it from the office, I'll, sit in as the interim president of the chamber until you find somebody else. And so I showed up one day and the staff looked at me and thought, oh no, what's he going to do? And, but as time went on, I kind of enjoyed getting involved. I wound up doing workouts. I think we had 27 creditors. I wound up doing workouts with everyone except for one sued us. I will admit to that. And, but as soon as I got the complaint, I called up their attorney and offered them the same deal I offered his client before they filed the lawsuit. He said, yeah, sounds great. So we wound up paying everybody 100 cents on the dollar over time, which was I think a great story. And you really, as a business organization, do you really want to cheat other businesses and not pay your debts to them, not what you owe them? So they were willing to give us a grace period, and we used that, and so that was successful. And so I was there doing the job and doing things, and I was a volunteer. I wasn't getting paid.
Yep.
And then about a year into it, my wife said to me, you've been working at this thing for a year, and it's really a full-time job, because it was, even though I was doing my real estate business from the office there, I wasn't giving it the probably proper attention that I should. So she said, if you're going to stay there, they really need to pay you to be the president. So they agreed. So I was hired on then as the full-time president, and 13 years later, I'm still here plugging away.
So if you don't mind, give a snapshot of 13 years later, from the threshold of bankruptcy. You turned it around, and I love your humility around this, but those behind your back say that you pulled off a miracle with this organization, and not to inflate your ego, but two things I said already: you didn't have to do it, and a lot of people, A, and B, a lot of people would have just walked away from that and let it collapse. You didn't. But not only did you not let it collapse, but you turned it into one of perhaps the most successful chamber in California. So talk about that juxtaposition and really your financial strength now. I'm not asking for your numbers, but I mean, compare and contrast today and to 13 years ago.
Well, it's huge. From a financial standpoint, we have more money in the bank than we certainly ever did in the last 20 years, probably 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
It was interesting. Several years ago, I had to tell our bookkeeper, I said, you need to create a new account, in the revenue, it's called interest income, because we actually have money to invest now in things. Some of my biggest, hardest decisions was which one of my member banks should I open a new CD at when one comes due, because I want to, maximize the amount of interest that we can have for the longest amount of time. So it is great. I mean, it's funny though, in a certain sense. I was telling this to my staff not too long ago. When we didn't have any money, it was much easier to say no to things, right? I want to do no. We want to buy pens, that say Newport Beach Chamber. No, we can't do that. It's hard. It's harder now because we do have the resources and the money to do things. Yeah. And so now I have to give it a little more thought. Okay, does it really make sense to do it or not? Is there a good business reason behind it? So it is nice to, have that cushion and not be, hand to mouth as far as running the chamber. And, a lot of it, I mean, when I came here, I don't want to take all the credit. Chamber had good bones. I mean, our city was founded in 1906. The chamber was founded in 1907. So we've been here for 119 years. It had good members. It just needed some new leadership, some new direction. I think coming off of 9 years on the city council, and I think we did a lot of great things when I was on the city council. So I had a lot of goodwill built up in the community that I could bring to the chamber that kind of got me past, some of these members, some of the key members that were moving away from the chamber. I was able to draw them back in because they had a trust in me that they had lost in my predecessor. And so it was a challenge. I had to roll up your sleeves. I have to wear a lot of hats here to make things happen. Sometimes, I have members call. I like to answer the phone here. I have 4 other people that can do it, but I like to answer it because that keeps me in touch, keeps me sharp.
Sure.
And they're surprised. Oh, I didn't expect to get you, kind of a thing. So, engaging with the members was an important part of turning around the chamber. I don't think my predecessor was as involved in our day-to-day activities as I am. And so I like to, if we're having a mixer, I'm there. If we're having a luncheon, I go.
Well, because it's clear you like people. If I can interrupt, I mean, that's one of the things that struck me. There's a genuine nature to you that that I think you really just like being around people. You like hearing their story. You like to understand how you can help them, which is why I think you're so unique. Because often people pretend to like people for their own Machiavellian reasons. They're selling a product or a service, or they want something from somebody, and that's not your style. And it resonates. And, I haven't been around 30 years, but the last 3.5 years, I've learned a lot from you. And you should be very proud of what you've done. And I'm glad to hear you have money in the bank and a cushion. So the next round of espresso martinis, I'm happy to have you buy. That'd be great.
Okay, they're on me for sure.
Just kidding. Again, congratulations for what you've done. I think a great way to kind of wind up this conversation, which I could have with you another couple of hours. I always enjoy talking to you, is we can't talk about your leadership in the business community, serving the business community, without wading a bit into what are the challenges and opportunities facing the business community. And we can keep it specific to Orange County. But there's no question that we're in a time of chaos. I always say whether you like the administration or not, so we're seeing a level of unprecedented concern and uncertainty that I don't remember. I mean, I'm a lawyer as well, as a lot of along with Steve, and I continue to scratch my head about kind of what's next. And so, as strong leaders, and Steve clearly is one, part of our responsibility, and I'm trying to lead Bridgeford, is, well, how do you anticipate? How do you give good advice? How do you take care of your clients and my clients? But your clientele is different. You have all these business owners, right, that are looking and business people that are looking perhaps to the chamber to give them some guidance. And you do a great job with Chris Schwartz and everybody else. But give me some insight. What are you hearing? What are people concerned about? I mean, other than sort of the obvious, are there tariffs today? Are there not tariffs today? Or is there enough food to go around because of cuts in some of those areas? Those are real issues. So give us some insight there.
Yeah, well, certainly political uncertainty is huge for everybody. And we're seeing it play out this week with, this talk about taking over Greenland. And I saw the stock market's tanking this morning. I don't know if it rebounded. So, uncertainty is huge. I think, as any business owner knows, that you don't want uncertainty because it's hard you can't plan. But some of the things that, affect our businesses, certainly on the day-to-day, government regulation is huge, especially here in California. We have a lot of, nanny government that goes on here. So regulations, just keeping up with it. I guarantee you there's no business that's in compliance with all the regulations, because you need a team, you need a whole law firm just sitting in your office every day, just trying to navigate all that. Things like labor is difficult here. Orange County is a very expensive place to live. And there's, problems with workforce housing, things like that, where people, the people that make things happen, the plumbers, I'll take Newport Beach, for instance, our firefighters and police officers, none of them live in Newport Beach. They can't afford it. Many of them don't live in Orange County. They live inland if they want to buy a home, and then they're forced now to commute an hour and a half, 2 hours maybe to work and back. So, workforce housing is a problem. Tourism is down as well here. We've angered some of our close neighbors to the north. So the Canadians haven't been showing up here. I was talking about
interesting. I didn't put that. I was about to say why, but I got you. Okay.
Yeah,
so you're feeling that. You're feeling.
Oh yeah. I was talking to a restaurant owner the other day and saying that their business with tourists from like Canada or even from Europe is way down. from where it would normally be. And so that's definitely, in addition to high food prices,
Yeah.
affecting their businesses,
Yep.
and wages. Here in California, we have some of the highest wages,
Yeah.
with high minimum wage, especially in the food industry. It's $20
Mm-hmm.
an hour for, any chain restaurant. So those are all these significant challenges that are facing businesses here. It's really, I got to give people, business owners, credit for just getting up every day and going to work and dealing with all these challenges, because
Yeah.
it can be daunting.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the business that I'm in and the planning trust space, we've been trying to hit the conversation head on, and said this a bunch of times, but this idea that uncertainty can be a guiding light. It's a quote from Bono, and I think that to turn the uncertainty into a motivator and a call to action, to not put your head in the sand, and to keep moving and keep thinking and keep evolving, and all the things you've done with the chamber. But I think it's more essential now than ever to keep moving and keep positive. And so that's what we tell the families we work with and the advisors. And we're not our businesses are not that different in terms of, we have people that we want to serve and be of use for, and be valuable to. And so when you're looking at a world full of chaos like this, you got to figure out how to be useful. And I just think finding the opportunity and finding the certainty, where I guess I say the opportunity in the uncertainty, is what we're focusing on. And I know you are too.
Yeah, I think, our sweet spot here is helping small business owners in particular navigate the shoals of all these different things we've just been talking about, and to be a resource. Honestly, we're a resource. Through our programming, like recently we've been doing seminars on AI and how to boost your marketing, how to organize your business.
Yeah.
Because obviously that's going to be super
Huge.
important.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Moving forward. And then, helping them navigate the city, for instance, the permitting process. And a lot of times they'll get bogged down, and, I'll tell them, if you go to the counter, the answer is no. If you call me, we turn no into yes.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So, well,
should be the tagline.
I'm a salesman too, just like you.
Yeah.
But,
well,
to a certain degree.
Yeah.
But, no, I mean, and it's the truth though, because I have, again, drawing on my time in city government, I have the relationships there that I can, instead of going to the counter at the building department, I go to the head of the building department and say, hey, can you help me with this problem my member's having?
Yeah.
And usually we're successful at that. And so
Yeah.
that's where we find that we're most effective, I think, with our businesses, is just being a backstop for them with education, connectivity to different things, to government, connectivity to each other, so that they can develop new customers or clients, and also other resources. Some people think, oh, I need to join the chamber because I want to sell more of whatever I'm selling, or whatever. And I say, there's other things you could find here. Maybe you need a banking relationship. So here's a good place to find. We have lots of bankers you can meet, or you need a new accountant, or, you need someone to do your IT work. So we provide those other resources to, especially, like I said, smaller businesses that, it's hard enough to just run your business.
Absolutely.
And to have to run down all these different people to help you with your business, or information to help you with your business. I'll just finish on one last thing. I think we talked about it during the pandemic. One of the things that we did when we were all shut down was we put out a series of videos where I would shoot a 2-minute video, and just to keep people up to speed on what was happening. Shot 150 videos over the probably year and a half that things were really, tough.
Amazing.
And even to this day, I still have people thanking me for doing those videos, because it really helped them with their business. And so that's what the chamber's all about, helping business owners to succeed.
That is a great way to end, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I was going to. A lot of the world just put their head in the sand, and frankly, we're scared, and you kind of went in a different direction, and had the passion to continue to serve your constituents, which happen to be the business owners and the business people in the community. And you could have very easily been quiet, and you went again in the opposite direction, and for that you should be congratulated. And you should be congratulated again. And I've said it a couple times, because again, your story is pretty compelling, and it resonates with me because, as I said, it's uncommon to see and find this kind of leadership, in my opinion, around the country. And so I'm proud to be a member. Bridgeford's very proud to be a member of the chamber. I'm proud to be a friend of yours and a supporter of everything you're doing there. And I appreciate the support you've given us. And I look forward to another 10 or 15 years of you growing and running this chamber. Hope I just
Don't tell that to my wife.
Yeah,
She's already telling me I need to retire. But,
well, as long as she can drive the Corvette, she's fine.
Exactly. I think I have a few more good years left to be here. And as I tell everybody, I'm going to do it until I don't enjoy it any longer.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm still enjoying it. We had a great kickoff event the other night for our restaurant week, and I look at what we create here as a chamber for our community, and makes me proud of the people I work with. You're giving me a lot of credit for this, but I do have a group of people behind me, whether it's my staff, whether it's our chamber ambassadors, our chamber commodores, our membership that shows up at events where we'll have 200 to 250 people at a mixer, and it makes it a great event. So it truly takes a village to make a successful chamber, and for better or worse, I'm here for a while longer. You're gonna have to put up with me for a little while longer.
Well, I heard you say as long as you're having fun and enjoying it, you'll still do it. And I have a feeling you'll be doing it for a long time, because clearly you have a passion, and I could see you at these events, and I see that you genuinely love what you're doing, and that's what it's all about. So Steve, again, thanks for the friendship. Thanks for everything we have done and will do together going forward with the chamber and Bridgeford. And thanks for taking the time to talk to us.
All right, likewise. Take care.
Thanks again for listening to Bridgeford Trust Company's Delivering Direction and Control podcast series. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast to keep posted on when new episodes are added. And for more information, you can visit us online at bridgefordtrust.com.